What's up, it's Richie here with Statifying Football. These are the previews for the 2022 College Football Bowl games. These are the two games that are being played on Tuesday, December 20th. The first bowl game is at 3:30 in the afternoon. Is the famous Idaho Potato Bowl being played on the blue turf in Boise State. It's the Eastern Michigan Eagles from the MAC at 8-4 taking on the San Jose State Spartans at 7-4. Eastern Michigan has a pretty good running back and decent quarterback. Taylor Powell had been a transfer there, passed for 1,813, 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Samson Evans, one of the top running backs in the MAC, ran for 1,084 yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. Jose Ramirez, the number 2 sacker in the country, at least going into the bowl games, had 12 sacks on the season. Kempton Shine, one of the better defensive backs in the MAC, with 11 pass breakups and 1 interception. They averaged 28.8 points per game. They gave up 28.6 points per game. So this actually could be a pretty high-scoring game, pretty close game, because San Jose State, they're coming in with a 7-4 record. Chevin Cordero was a transfer from Hawaii, played there, started the last couple of years, had a really good first season with San Jose State, passed for 2,884 yards, 20 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, plus ran for 215 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. Elijah Cooks was a transfer from Nevada, had 63 catches for 983 yards and 10 receiving touchdowns. He should be able to get those 17 yards to get over 1,000 receiving. Viliami Fehoko had 10 sacks, one of the top sackers in the Mountain West. Nehemiah Shelton, 8 pass breakups, 2 interceptions. They averaged 27.5 points per game, but only give up 20.3 points per game. And their 36 sacks as a team is tied for 8th nationally. So both offenses are pretty good, but I'm giving that slight edge to the San Jose State defense. Should be able to slow down Eastern Michigan just enough to get to their 8th win. So I'm going to go San Jose State to win the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. And then the second game on Tuesday night, the second bowl game, is the Boca Raton Bowl between the Liberty Flames and the Toledo Rockets. Liberty comes in, no Hugh Freeze, their coach. He left Auburn, but still a pretty good foundation set in place. They kind of went through 2 and 3 quarterbacks, but they all played pretty well. Led by, Jonathan Bennett is one of them. He had 1,534 passing, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, added 2 rushing touchdowns. And Caden Salter came in, passed for 1,002 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks, added 221 rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. Day Hunter is their top running back, ran for 850 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. So if he has a big game of 150 rushing yards, he could hit 1,000 yards receiving. And their top wide receiver, Demario Douglas. Had 73 catches for 977 yards and 6 receiving touchdowns, so he should be able to get those 23 extra yards to get over 1,000. They average 28.3 points per game. They give up 24.9 points per game. They are 3rd in the nation in sacks. They've gotten 41 sacks this year. They are tied for 6th nationally with 14 interceptions. They are the number 1 team in the country in terms of getting tackles for loss. They have 109 tackles for loss on this season. Now they're facing the MAC champions Toledo Rockets, 8-5. They won the MAC. Jaquan Finn, one of the better dual threat quarterbacks, maybe in the group of 5 at least, definitely in one of the best quarterbacks in the MAC. Jaquan Finn passed for 2,127, 22 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, added 608 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. Dallas Gant had 112 tackles. Deontay Johnson had 102 tackles. Quinyon Mitchell, maybe the top defensive back in the country. Statistically speaking, he is number 1 in the nation with 20 pass breakups. He has 5 interceptions, which is tied for 3rd best in the nation, and his 25 passes defense total, which is pass breakups combined with interceptions, that is number 1 in the country. So possibly have the best defensive back in the country. They average 32.1 points per game. They give up 25.5 points per game. And they themselves are also very good at getting into the backfield with 91 tackles for loss, which is 8th best in the country. It should be a really close game, pretty exciting game, possible shootout here. Both teams averaging around 30 points per game. Both teams only giving up about 25 points per game. But I'm giving the slight edge to Liberty here. I think the Liberty offense should still be able to keep it going even with an interim head coach there. And I think the Liberty Flames win that game, and which could be a very exciting bowl game. So those are my 2 previews for the Tuesday bowl games. Check out my other bowl previews later. Peace.